Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the More Money Show comes in. If you're ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to the More Money Show. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I'm excited to be here with you today. Today, I'm going to go through what does 2018 hold, talk a little bit about the new year, what's coming up on the show, personal things for me, and just a couple announcements. I'm excited. I do have a little bit of allergies or something going on, so I feel a little like Phoebe in the episode of Friends where she gets the cold and she has like her sexy singing voice. So all my Friends fans will know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm really excited to be here with you today just because we haven't been one-on-one in a while. And so I hope that you're enjoying the interviews. I'm enjoying giving them. And I've heard from lots of you, oh, this interview is my favorite, or this interview is so good. I learned so much from that. And that's really the goal, is to highlight a couple of things. Number one is how we're all different. So no two stories, while everyone that I've interviewed has gone through some level of my programs, right? So whether they've just read Manifest 10,000 and they've manifested $10,000, or they've gone through Manifest 10K, or they've gone through one of my scripting workshops, everyone you've heard from, or the Change Your Money Story course, has gone through something I've taught. But they all do it a little bit differently because we are unique. We come with our own pre-story, right? The story that we were raised with. We come with our own thoughts. We come with our own ways that we change, our ways that we learn. And so no two stories, even though they go through the same process, are the same. And that's one of the things that I wanted to show you guys through those interviews is, first of all, that we all do it a little bit differently and we can all be successful. Number two is really show that I love stories. If you've been with me for very long, you know this, that belief amping is one of the things that I believe in most. And that is really amping up your belief in what's possible. So instead of trying to convince yourself that what you want is possible, like just surround yourself with stories that it is possible. And then your brain will start to believe like, oh yeah, Jill did it. Andrew did it. Lynn did it. Carrie Ann did it. Carrie Ann's coming up. You haven't heard from her yet, but you'll start to hear all of these things. Oh, they did it. And your brain starts to believe that, starts to believe it's possible for you. It starts to latch on to those things that you have in common with those people, right? Might not be their whole story, but there might be one little thing. And you go, and your brain goes, okay, we can do this because they're like us in this way. We're like them in this way. So if they did it, we can do it, right? And just the belief that it happens over and over again, I find is so much easier than trying to convince yourself. I hear things from people, I just have to believe that it's possible. I just have to make myself believe it's possible. Well, don't make yourself do anything. Make it easy. Make it easy for your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul to believe that. And one of the easiest ways to do that is from hearing stories from other people. So that's one of the main reasons that I do that. And I love sharing other stories because I think you all learn a lot from mine. But I also think that you're all at different places. And so sometimes these other stories are giving you, a more, it's not beginner, but the beginning stages, right? The early parts of the story view. Sometimes I feel like my story is expanded so much that, I just want you to have those reminders of that beginning phases that I'm not necessarily in anymore. So my story doesn't reflect that. So because when you do this stuff, you just keep growing and growing and growing, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're not doing some of those, the beginning things when you grow. I would say I'm 3 years into this way of doing it, this process, maybe 4, because I know that, when I got clear, like, what do I really want to be financially independent? That was the first moment of this new process that I teach, right? And of sort of the higher level stuff. I'd done the money manifesting. I'd done that, which I feel like is, Manifest 10K for me it's like your bachelor's degree, right? So you go and you get a bachelor's degree. It's like you have knowledge, you come in with knowledge, but then you kind of learn how to put it together in this certain package, right? When you get your master's degree, I consider that a scripting workshop, right? And then when you stay on to work with me, you get your PhD. And that's a longer process, right? To become sort of this PhD in your future self. And so that's kind of what I consider the steps and how this process goes. So I had another point, but I can't remember it now. So I'm going to go to my list. I would love to hear from all of you. I was actually just randomly went and was reading the reviews of this show the other day. And there hasn't been a review in a while. So if you love the show, if you love how I'm sharing other people's stories, I would love for you to leave a review on iTunes. Just go to iTunes and you hit, like leave a review. And I love to read those. It's so good to just go. Thank you everybody who's left them. They were amazing I hadn't read them in a while, and I went and read them the other day, and I was just like so filled up because I love hearing what you're getting from the show. And I know that a lot of you loved me sharing my story. So I've got some good news. I'm going to come back more to that in a fun way. So if there's anything that you wanted to ask me that you kind of want me to talk about on the show, you can email Cassie Parks VA, V as in Victor, A as in airplane, CassieParksVA@gmail.com. And Michelle can put those questions. Just say, like, this is a question for the podcast. I'd love to hear Cassie answer. And Michelle will put those on a list. That's my amazing virtual assistant. And we'll integrate those throughout the year. So I want to just do a quick recap. Oh my gosh, 2017 was amazing. And I know some people don't feel that way, but I do. Like, things always happen. And if we make a list, and this is one of the things that I would say as you go into the new year, like, just make a promise to yourself to not judge a year, like to not condone a year. Like, people will start condoning a new year in like February. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get out of this year. Well, you can get out of that crappy whatever energy, vibe, story you've set up at any moment. Nothing magic happens when the ball drops. Magic happens when you make a decision that this isn't the way my story is going to play out anymore. So just make a promise to yourself to really like love on the year and to honor the fact that you can change at any moment. Any single moment, you can go, this isn't for me anymore. I'm not living this story. I'm not going to keep creating it tomorrow. If you've heard me before, the story that you tell today is the life you create tomorrow. So if you're done with whatever that story is, if something you don't like happens in 2018, just make a promise to yourself to stop telling that story and start telling a new one so that tomorrow can be better. For me, 2017 was amazing. It was definitely one of the most growth years I've ever had in my life. So many things happened. I moved out of the Four Seasons, and that was super uncomfortable for me. I didn't love that I was getting that information from my future self to make that decision. And yet I stuck with it because I knew it was the whisper I was getting from my future self. And once I went all in, I could see why. And so this has been just such a fun year of getting to hang out with my goddaughters and getting to just be more living with people, which I love, and pushes me to grow in a whole other way, which I love. And it's allowed me to, go spend a month at the beach. I spent November in Port Aransas, Texas, where I went to the beach almost every day, most often twice a day, or at least to the water twice a day, to see the dolphins with the co-host of my other podcast, Manifest It Now, Jenny. So Jenny and I hung out all month at the beach. It's one of her dreams because she's from Canada, so she kind of likes to avoid the winter there. And I just loved it. I love being, a mile from the beach and less than a mile from the water, from the pier. You go see the dolphins. So, making that leap enabled me to do that. I've taken getting comfortable in the uncomfortable, which is something that I teach to a whole new level because everything hasn't been comfortable. And I think sometimes when you hear somebody who's, I don't know, at this point in we'll call it their journey, their process of learning to attract what they want, you think it's all, I always tell my clients, this stuff isn't all sunshine and roses. It's just not. It's and the bigger you grow, what I've found is that the more you have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And so I really put that into practice this year. I was really able to, when I got a whisper from my future self that made zero sense to me, sit in the uncomfortable and be okay with it. Get comfortable with not being able to solve the immediate problem, not understand the exact right answer, or exactly what I was supposed to do next, but just sit there in the uncomfortable and be until the answer showed up, to just take that step forward and trust that step versus analyzing that step, and trying to figure out, well, why is that the answer? And it's been awesome. I'm purchasing a new property next week, which I'm excited about. It feels a little bit crazy. It's a little bit of the getting comfortable and the uncomfortable, because there are moments, like, I know I'm supposed to own this property. I know there's some amazing things, and some amazing things have revealed themselves in the last couple of weeks, but it was really a leap of faith. It was really saying, I'm supposed to own this. Like, I know this is my future self speaking. I don't totally get it. I don't totally know that I'm up for this challenge. It's going to be fun. It's a total renovation of a house and an eightplex, which has not been loved in a while. So I get to love it again and bring it back to health and life, and that is exciting. And it's also kind of big, but I'm super excited about that. I'm excited about the story that I get to tell when I'm done, because the property, the numbers really make sense. So I can love it back to life, and I can increase my abundance by a lot. So I'm excited about that. And that just ties into really 2017 for me, I think, was all about trust and leaps, and that getting comfortable in the uncomfortable. It's, stepping into your future self every day, takes trust. And then when you get that whisper, you have to take the leap, and you have to trust that it's going to be okay. And that's what I've practiced a lot of this year, a lot. And you have to do that in business. I did that with my business too. My business is changing. I have a new monthly subscription model, which I'm excited about, which didn't make sense when I kept getting the whisper that this is the way to go, this is the way to go, this is the way to go, until I did it. And then I could see. So then I could see, oh yeah, this is why this makes sense. This is why my future self wanted me to do this. And one of the reasons was freedom. It's for me to feel like I had more freedom, and because of this year I've also started to learn how to write screenplays so that I can adapt my novellas. So I'm working on Choose Me. I've written a second novella. Choose Me is my best-selling book. So all of you that are fans of my money books and my self-development books, thank you so much. But Choose Me, when I got the report for the first half of the year in October, I don't get that till October from the publisher, it sold over 404,000 copies. I made more money on that book than I do on any of my other books. And that was fun. Like, that was because, again, that was one of the first leaps I took starting last year, really last summer. So sometimes we don't see, we just have to trust. Like, writing Choose Me was a trust process. It was something my mentor didn't want me to do. She flat out said that. She said, I don't think it's a good idea. It doesn't make sense for your business. It doesn't, all this stuff, right? But I knew it made sense. I heard the whisper from my future self, like, this is the next thing I want to do. It's the next thing I want to learn. And if it works out, awesome. And if it doesn't, I'll learn something amazing. But that started last summer in Tuscany, and really owning that leap and taking that was a trust and a leap that, like, could I really write fiction? Could it be successful? Would people read it? Obviously, 404,000 people have downloaded it. I don't know if they've all read it yet, because I can't see that from the report. But they have the book in their hands. It's enough for them to say, like, I want to put this on my Kindle, which was really exciting for me. And then I was able to write the second one, which was actually not super scary, but it was a little bit scary. Like, I love Choose Me. I love Melanie, the main character in Choose Me. And I was like, can I develop that good of a character? Can I develop that good of a story again? Can I allow this story to speak to me, which is really what happens. I do write it, but it's, I think my improv training for this is, I know what happens, and I let the story unfold on its own. So that was big in really that trust and leap, thing. And so I often will get people who will ask, like, how do I develop that trust muscle? Like, how do I know when to trust? And what I always say is it starts little. It starts with, like, I can spend this, I know I'm supposed to buy this $100 thing that I don't totally feel like I have money for. Or, other things. For me, when I was thinking about this question a couple of weeks ago, somebody had asked it. I was like, how did I start practicing it? Can I remember that? Because sometimes I don't remember those things just because they're so long ago I started them. But I always work on it. I always try and pull that from my memory so that I can teach you guys. And I think the first time that I learned this, especially in money, was I went to the Millionaire Mind Intensive. And there was a couple main things that I took away from that. And one was budgeting. I've adapted it. I adapted it to my own stuff for budgeting for attraction. But one of the things they talked about how to budget your money was you had to have money for fun and for play. And I didn't have that. It was very and I didn't have the money. They said 10% should go to play. And you have to spend it every month. And I was like, I don't have 10% of whatever extra I was making then, right? So it's probably $300 a month. I don't know. Probably back then it was making about somewhere $30,000 to $35,000 a year. And so about $300 a month. And I was like, oh man, I don't have $300 extra a month to play. But I remember that being the first time that I trusted, okay, I'm going to trust this process. And I don't know that I consciously said to myself, I'm going to trust, but I was like, I'm going to do this because somebody is, who knows more than me, who's gotten where I want to go, says this is going to support what I want. And it worked. I started investing in facials and more massages and really consciously investing in fun. They didn't use the word invest, but I do. I started investing in me for that $300 a month. And what happened is somehow I ended up with more money at the end of the month. I promise you. I didn't know how it was going to work out. I didn't know how it was going to happen. But what actually happened because I invested in myself was I ended up with more money. I thought this might not work out. I'll try it for a couple months. They said to do it. I'll do it. But I remember being like, there's more money in my account at the end of every month when I choose to spend money on me. And so that was the first time where I started to build this real trust muscle about money and being able to invest in things. And where that comes to now is that, that evolves to, leaving the Four Seasons, but also really big to this property that I'm going to buy now. And it's because I can trust the whisper. I can trust all that stuff. So it goes from trusting someone else's suggestion, which is what happens in Manifest 10K, is I give you all the things to do, right? And tell you, okay, do this now. And you learn to trust that process, and I have one of my clients adore her, and you're going to get to hear from her, but over and over, that's her mantra. I trust the process, right? Because she's committed. It's amazing to watch, and I adore her. I'm talking about you, Carrie Ann, right now. And you're going to get to hear from her. I'm excited. I'll tell you all about that in a second. But, I trust the process is huge. And so, find a way to just trust one little thing I say. Just trust it and do it, and then see what happens. And then just keep building from there. Because it's a big deal and it's exciting. So, and then you write things like novellas and you build up to that trust that, and I got this statement. I couldn't believe it. I was, I think it's just the way that it worked out, honestly. I don't know. Or maybe, I think because it was the last book that I wrote. So all the other books, that is what it was. Because everything else had been published in 2016. It was the only book. I only published one book in 2017, which is amazing. And I'm ready to write more. So get ready. There's going to be more novellas for a year starting in January. And then there's also going to be 2 more self-development books. But anyway, so when I got the statement, I think that's why. And, I looked at all of them and I said, oh, where's the novella? Because it wasn't at the end of the page. And it is because those were 2016 publications. So I scrolled to the next page and I see 404,000 and then some other number, like 369 or something, 404,369. And I was like, and then I looked at them and I was like, that can't be right. And then I looked at the money and I was like, oh, well, it's a lot more money, so it has to be right, right? And I messaged my publisher and just said, thanks for letting me write this, even though you didn't agree with it. And she's like, you're welcome. And by the way, we checked the number 5 times, both my husband and I, and it's right. And so, just that trust leads you to that place where you get to take a leap and you get to see what happens. And it's super fun and amazing. And I'm excited to be writing. So I've already written Own It. I wrote that at the beach. That comes out in January. So if you're not on my list and you want to be the first to get that, make sure to go to cassieparks.com and get on the list. If you haven't gotten your guide to identify your money story, make sure you go get that, because that's huge. And that's on my site. And you can, that's 2 birds with 1 stone. You can get on my list and get the guide. So go do that so that you're first to know when Own It comes out. I'm going to do something really cool with that. So, and I'm excited about it. And just the launch of it is going to be a little bit different, but yeah, it's exciting. And then, I've committed to writing 3 more novellas this year, releasing them. And that's fun. And it's fun because I followed a breadcrumb trail here. I stepped into my future self a little bit at a time. And I said, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is what I want. So, and you can do it too. So I hope that's the inspiration that you get from the show. And that brings me to really the year of growth. So I wrote about that. I've written about it last year I wrote this email called What If You Gave Yourself a Year? And this year I've deemed this the year of growth because, somebody asked me in the Change Your Money Story group yesterday. I don't normally answer questions in there because it's just for learning, but I did this one. And she said, well, how, what's the one word that makes manifesting possible? Like I never seem to get it right. And there's no one word. There's no one magic trick. In fact, you heard Lainey a couple weeks ago, and I was reading, she did a survey. I asked what people wanted to hear in my newsletter this year, and she filled it out. And I loved what she said. I'd asked, what's the most important thing that you learn? And she said, how to step into my future self, because it's not a trick. Like all these other people, all these people I've studied, they teach you these tricks to do to get the law of attraction to work. But when you step into your future self, it works. And that's the most important thing that I've learned from you. And that was cool. And that encompasses it. Like I can't ever just give you this little magic formula to create everything you want. It's a process. It's a growth journey. You have to grow into that person. You can do the tricks for a long time and you can manifest little stuff, but that big stuff, that big dream life that you want, it's a process. It's a growth process. And that's why I'm calling, dedicating, 2018 for you guys in my emails is to be the year of growth, because I want to show you more of how you grow into yourself. I want to, I said this, if you're on my list, I said some are going to be emails that might not be comfortable, because there's a lot of things out there that say this is easy and you only do it when it's easy and you do all that. And that's not true. When you really start to grow, when you really start to open up to the big stuff, it's not easy. It's uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable in the uncomfortable, because that's just the way the process works. Not because you have to get uncomfortable, but because when you grow, it can be uncomfortable. When you are trusting and taking a leap of faith, that is uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable because what's comfortable is what you've already been doing. So when you just stand out there and you're like, I'm going to trust and I'm going to leap, like that's not comfortable, because you don't know the outcome. Your brain's going, we don't know what's going to happen. So that's important. So this is the year of growth. So here's what's going to come up. I have some of my amazing clients who have agreed to share their journey with you. So you've heard from some of them already, like Lynn and Jennifer. I'm trying to think if you've heard. And so you've heard some of their story before, right? But now you're going to get to hear from them throughout the year. And what that's going to do is, for one, it's going to show you how much potential growth there is. Like every time you hear from them, which will be about every 2 months, there'll be a rotation, right? So about every 2 months, you'll get to get an update from them. And I love that, because you'll get to hear what have they been uncomfortable about in the last couple of months. And I can tell you that Jennifer's been uncomfortable a couple of times, Lynn too, in the last couple of months as we've started back working together. So you're going to hear from them. You're going to hear from clients that I've been working with this is going on the 3rd year. You're going to hear from clients that I just started working with in November. and you get to see their journey. They're willing to share their journey with you. Someone had said, they'd love if I coached on the podcast because they didn't understand exactly what it looked like to be coached. And I won't ask my clients to be, I think coaching is sacred, and I don't think it happens in the best way in this format. It happens in the bubble that we create where it happens. So I can't do that. But what I can do for you all is show you this amazing picture of how people can grow and what comes up as they grow. And I can give you that. And so with that, I'm also going to have either Jenny or Michelle, or I had this idea the other day to maybe do a contest where you all might get the opportunity to interview me as well. But I'll be in that mix. Because I think that's a fun way to show you all what's going on. And so I'll interview this year's journey as well, as I step into all this other cool stuff, which is new to me. I mean, everything, mostly 2018 is very new and very big and very future self, and I'm excited about it. So you'll get to see all that. So I hope that you're excited. I would love if you go, just tell me what impact the show has had. You can go to iTunes and leave a review. I'd love to hear that. And just have a wonderful, blessed new year. And really, for me, the new year is fun. I like it. It's, sometimes I do really cool stuff. I've been in Times Square. Like I have been literally in front of Carson Daly's stage when the ball dropped. Was on TV all over the world that year. And I love that. I love the celebration of it. I've been on the beach in Barcelona watching the fireworks. I love that. But for me, the new year doesn't hold this. This is going to, be the change, because I step into my future self every day. So every day I step into a new version, and every day is this big whatever I want to step into. So whatever's next. And so I just do that on a continual basis. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait for every year to just step into that. So that's who I am. I'm excited to share my journey as well as my amazing clients' journeys with you over the next year. Go to iTunes, leave a review. Have a fabulous new year. I hope you had a great holiday season. And let's rock this. If you're not on my list yet, you want to stay in touch, see what cool things I'm doing, go to cassieparks.com and get connected there. And your mantra for today, we haven't done these in a while, but I know you guys love them, is I choose how my life unfolds. I choose what's next. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us on The More Money Show. To learn the step-by-step process to welcome more money into your life, go to manifest10k.com. Thanks for joining us on The More Money Show. To learn how to attract more money into your life, go to your favorite book retailer and order Cassie's book, Manifest $10,000.